Hi everyone, welcome back to our Curious Creative Collaboration. And this week we are going to take a look at inks, transparents, and something found. So let's talk about things transparent. And I just have a few samples here. First we have tape transfers, and I know Claudette did a lot of these a few weeks back, and it's such a fun technique, very easy, and as you can see, you can use anything to make transparent images, and they're a lot of fun. And next I have a tea bag. Many of you already work with tea bags. I'm not really a tea drinker, but I do find them very fun to work with. Next up I have tissues, or rather the first set I'm showing you right here are actually acrylics on deli paper, and I keep scraps, and sometimes, you know, even if you don't care for the design, like these aren't really my favorites, but I just wanted to show you that when you hang on to these pieces you could just use a little snippet, and it you know, this is how you create layers and depth and add colors in interesting ways. Next up are some Artisan Tissues. These are by Holtz and Dina, and these are a lot of fun to use. Here are a couple sheets of printed vellum. You can find these papers in the scrapbook section at maybe Michael's or obviously your scrapbook store. Lastly, here are transparent papers using paint and ink. This is paper, handmade paper from Nepal, and I used spray acrylic inks here, and on the other I simply blotted extra paint on the back, and you can see the color through to the other side. You can use watercolors, stamp with inks, here's some coffee, acrylic washes, and even gel pens to highlight layers underneath. I also wanted to show you this paper. When you clean your brayer multiple times, you can create transparent looks like this. I'm sure you've all done this too. I kind of wish I didn't add the blobs of yellow, but it doesn't matter. It all makes for good collage papers at the end. And I almost forgot to mention using actual transparencies. Here's an oldie and goodie by Tracy Batista. Aren't these great? It's a grid featuring her glam girls. This goes way back. Now you can make your own. All you need is a copier and overhead transparencies from back in the day. Anyway, let's count this as my found object for the week. I'm definitely going to use these soon. Here's a technique I like to use for creating transparency, and I'll list all the supplies in the description box. I'm using stencils, a skewer, a tag, Dina acrylic spray ink, watered down acrylic paint right here in the jar, water soluble ink, Holtz Distress inks, and Caran Neocolor 1 crayons. Now, we all love Neocolor 2s, and I don't know if you're familiar with these, but these are not water soluble, and I'm very partial to these because I love the consistency of color that you get with them. So let's get started. I want to use the stencil as a stamp, so I'm going to use Dina Wakley's acrylic spray in Night and apply it liberally onto the stencil. Next, I'll position the stencils down onto the tag to make the impression and let this dry. There was excess ink on the stencil, so I went ahead and added it onto the paper. Now it's time to color with the Neocolor crayons. If you don't have these, then you might want to try regular crayons. I can't say for sure because I've never tried them, but I think you might get the same effect. And I'm going to fast forward. I apologize, I forget that the table wobbles, even though I can't feel it. And it turns out my camera stand decided to veer off, so that was weird. Oh, and one last thing. You'll also notice that I decided to add more colors in blue. So that's it. Here we go. Okay, so for this step, I'm using a bright, almost neon yellow to add stripes, messy random stripes for interest. It's time to add the watered down acrylic paint. This is where the magic happens. You can see that the crayons act as a resist, and this step can be repeated as many times as you want. I would suggest letting it dry between applications, and feel free to blot any excess paint or let it dry completely before you add a second or third layer. The last step is applying water-soluble ink, and here I'm using Tim Holtz Distress Inks. You can choose one color or several, and since I couldn't decide, I'm going to use them all. As you can see, the colors play well together. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. Well, guess what? As I was putting everything away, I decided to do another one with this color palette. I worked off camera using the same steps. Next, I'll share them both with you. Here's our first tag in the greens and blues. It's still a bit damp, but once it's dry, I'll press it under some books. I like how it turned out. I love the different shades of green in the background, and I just love this resist technique. Here's the pink and orange tag, and I really had fun with this too. I just did the background a little differently, did stripes on one side and big dots on the other. And you know, it's all experimentation. I do want to add that if you don't have all these supplies, especially the spray inks, you can certainly just stick with the acrylic wash for the resist technique. And another thing, if you know, for the stencil, you could use an ink pad or just use acrylic paint. So again, it's all about experimentation and play and just having fun. I wanted to point out, so this tag is a white tag and the other one is ecru, and you really can't tell, but and it didn't seep through, which is nice. So you can decorate the back or do some journaling. It's all fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and be sure to tag us if you decide to try some of these techniques. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. We only have 3 more to go. So until then, take care.